For centuries, artillery has been recognized as the most destructive element determining the fate of war. Beginning with the Turks' conquest of Constantinople in 1453, the overwhelming superiority of artillery did not just crush the enemy at some of history's bloodiest battlefields, such as Verdun and Kursk. It redrawn the map of the battlefield. Because artillery is not just a weapon, it is a strategic pressure tool. It displaces the enemy, crushes their morale, and makes maneuvering impossible.
Armata!
Statistics confirm this. Approximately 60% of all deaths in World War I were caused by artillery fire. Although this rate has decreased in modern conflicts, artillery is still one of the most cost-effective tools in terms of killing power. However, things changed in the Ukraine war. Starting in 2022, a transformation took place on the Ukrainian battlefield. UAVs have become so effective that they challenge the historical dominance of artillery. In 2023 alone, Ukraine deployed over 10,000 FPV drones to the front lines each month. This figure led to the emergence of a low-cost but highly effective flying artillery force that crushed many Russian armored brigades and engaged in one-on-one tank hunting. So much so that it is estimated that approximately 65% of Russia's tank losses throughout 2024 were attributable to FPV UAVs. These figures raise the following question among Western military analysts. Is the new king of war now unmanned aerial vehicles rather than artillery? However, this debate has not yet been settled. But before this debate could be settled, the god of war returned to the throne, and in a much more powerful, much more furious way than before. Lockheed Martin and Rheinmetall, two of the world's leading defense manufacturers, have successfully completed test firings of a new generation artillery system. This development is poised to change the rules of war once again, perhaps for the last time. Its name, GMARS, Global Mobile Artillery Rocket System. This is not just a bigger rocket launcher, this is a wheeled hell machine. It has twice the loading capacity of a single HIMARS battery. It can launch 12 GMLRS rockets or 2 ATACMS tactical ballistic missiles simultaneously. And now this system is preparing to unleash hell on the Russian army. Panic bells are ringing in the Kremlin because all the old equations have collapsed with this new weapon. The introduction of the GMARS system coincides with a strategic turning point. To understand the emergence of the GMARS system, we must understand the revolution upon which it is built, namely the HIMARS effect. When the M142 HIMARS appeared on the scene in the summer of 2022, it was not just a new weapon being deployed to the front, it was the first military-level proof that Russia's deep rear areas were no longer safe. Until that day, ammunition depots, command and control centers and fuel depots, considered absolutely safe hundreds of kilometers behind the front lines, suddenly found themselves at the top of the target list. Capable of precise strikes from 80 kilometers with GMLRS guided rockets and up to 300 kilometers with ATACMS tactical ballistic missiles, HIMARS effectively disrupted the rhythm of the war. With this system, Ukraine inflicted hell on Russia's ammunition chains, communications infrastructure, and supply lines with pinpoint accuracy. However, despite HIMARS' impressive power, it had some structural limitations. Each HIMARS launcher could only carry a single launch pod. This meant that in a single mission, it could fire a maximum of 6 GMLRS rockets or 1 ATACMS missile. This limited operational efficiency, as it required reloading after each shot. Moreover, the number of HIMARS systems available to Ukraine remained symbolic in the face of the war's geographical scope and target diversity. Against Moscow's large-scale attacks backed by extensive ammunition stocks, HIMARS systems were sometimes as valuable as diamonds, but insufficient in number. This is where Rheinmetall stepped in. The German defense giant took the HIMARS system, which had become legendary on the battlefield in the US, and transformed it into a platform capable of carrying heavier loads, delivering longer-range strikes, and causing greater destruction in a single shot. So, how does the anatomy of this beast set it apart from HIMARS? The most fundamental feature that distinguishes GMARS from HIMARS is its carrying capacity. It all starts with the chassis, which showcases the power of German engineering. GMARS is built on the combat-proven Rheinmetall HX8x8 tactical truck, already used by the German army and many other European countries. This platform provides GMARS with overwhelming mobility, with speeds of up to 100 km per hour and an operational range of 700 km. This is not just a truck. It is a war machine that can traverse Ukraine's muddy and rugged terrain, where a HIMARS might struggle, perfecting hit-and-run tactics and increasing crew survivability with heavier armor protection. However, the real revolutionary aspect of the GMARS is the launcher it carries, a two-pod launch system. The meaning of this technical term on the battlefield is absolute destruction. The GMARS carries twice the ammunition of a single HIMARS vehicle. This simple math fundamentally changes the equation of war. In a single salvo, it can unleash a barrage of fire equivalent to what two separate HIMARS vehicles or a much slower tracked M270 system could achieve. The launcher's arsenal consists of the deadliest members of NATO's standard munitions family. GMARS can fire all standard rockets and missiles known as the GMLRS munitions family, MFOM, providing full interoperability and logistical ease. What does this mean? GMARS can launch a full 12 GMLRS rockets at its target in a single shot. This is twice the number of rockets a HIMARS can fire at the same time. While air defense radars can only track and engage a limited number of targets at once, a 12-rocket salvo instantly overwhelms the system and guarantees that at least a few will reach their target. GMARS's most formidable capability, however, is its ability to carry and launch two ATACMS tactical ballistic missiles simultaneously. A single ATACMS missile is sufficient to destroy Russian command centers or ammunition depots. Two ATACMS missiles simultaneously targeting different targets or delivering a double strike on a single target would be a devastating blow to Russia's regional air defense network. Rheinmetall announced that GMARS will not only use existing ammunition, but will also have the potential to launch new-generation cruise missiles with a range exceeding 500 kilometers, which will be developed in the future. This has the potential to give GMARS a strategic capability that can target not only the front line, but even Moscow. This spells new nightmares for Russia's air defense systems, such as the S-300 and S-400. These systems, already struggling to completely stop HIMARS attacks, will be completely helpless against a GMARS salvo that can target twice as many targets simultaneously and comes from a longer range. Rheinmetall has announced that it successfully completed the first test firings of GMARS in September 2025, and that serial production is expected to begin in early 2026. This means that the weapon could soon be seen on the Ukrainian front. If GMARS is sent to Ukraine, what targets could the system be used against? The first target could be the Kerch bridge. Ukraine is already determined to destroy this bridge. Work is underway in this direction, with Ukraine's new favorite, Toloka underwater drones, being presented as bridge killers. GMARS's ability to carry two ATACMS missiles increases the likelihood of a new and more destructive attack on the bridge. The bridge would then face irreparable damage, vulnerable not only from the sea, but also from land. The port of Novorossiysk, the last refuge of the Black Sea Fleet, comes within range of GMARS's advanced munitions. Warships anchored in the port, fuel depots, and ammunition stockpiles are defenseless against GMARS's 12-rocket salvo. Russian air defense systems, already worn down by Ukrainian drones, will be completely paralyzed by GMARS attacks, which can target twice as many targets simultaneously. This means Ukraine can open an air corridor to safely deploy more F-16 and other aircraft in the sky. This situation forces the Moscow administration to geographically reposition its military assets. However, this creates a major strategic dilemma. Theoretically, Russia's only defense option against this threat is to strengthen its air defense umbrella in areas that GMARS can target. This means that systems such as the S-300V, S-400, and Pantsir may have to be redeployed to protect strategic infrastructure behind the front lines. However, the biggest problem they face here is a lack of resources. The already limited number of air defense batteries are deployed at the front against Ukrainian UAVs, cruise missiles, and threats such as Storm Shadow/SCALPEG. Withdrawing them from the front would leave Russian infantry and armored units completely defenseless against Ukraine's tactical attacks with unmanned systems. This situation leaves the Kremlin with a painful choice. either sacrifice its frontline troops and protect its rear bases, depots, and command structures, or protect its frontline defenses and abandon its deep logistics centers, which could be targeted by GMARS. Both options could have devastating effects on Russia's war capacity. And behind these risks lies the latest German engineering. So what do we know about the competitors of this new system? Russia's Tornado-S system, China's PHL-16 platform, and Iran's Fajr-5 rockets are among the main players in this race, providing deterrence at different levels. However, in terms of both technological depth and operational flexibility, none of these systems come close to the level offered by GMARS. Russia's Tornado-S is a system equipped with 300mm rockets that can nominally reach a range of up to 200 kilometers. However, the low accuracy rate of these systems in the field and their vulnerability to electronic warfare prevent them from being considered a true strategic weapon. Iran's Fajr-5 is even more limited. Although it has a similar range, its lack of guidance and inaccuracy mean it cannot provide anything more than psychological superiority. China's PHL-16 offers a more modern approach, but with a maximum range of 360 kilometers, low ammunition carrying capacity, and the system's inability to integrate with Western ammunition, it remains a cautiously approached player in the global market. GMARS's biggest difference on the battlefield is its focus on the combat reality of the future, not today. This system is not just an updated version of HIMARS and M270, it is also an advanced technology platform designed to play an ambitious role in the global artillery systems market. The global artillery systems market is currently valued at $10 to $12 billion, and this market is expected to reach approximately $22 billion by 2033. In other words, the system is targeting not only the battlefield, but also one of the most dynamic commercial areas of the defense industry. As Lockheed Martin makes final adjustments to the GMARS launch ramp, one of the goals is to quadruple the number of munitions the HIMARS system can fire. In this context, the system was unveiled at the Human-Machine Integration Summit in November 2024, integrated onto a version of the US Marine Corps' 10x10 MKR-18 logistics vehicle system chassis. Its full compatibility with NATO ammunition gives it a significant advantage over competitors that do not fully meet NATO standards, such as South Korea's K239 Chunmoo. For example, the Chunmoo system has been integrated by Poland into its own 8-wheeled Jeltz trucks under the name HIMARS. The HIMARS features Polish-made fire control systems, communication infrastructure, and battlefield management solutions. The system's launcher can fire ballistic missiles with a range of approximately 290 kilometers, such as the CTM-290 or CGR-080 rockets with a range of 80 kilometers. These munitions have almost identical characteristics to the legendary ATACMS munitions from the US. Thanks to this similarity, missile compatibility between Chunmoo systems and GMARS can also be achieved. Although Poland initially placed an order for 500 HIMARS, it was dissatisfied with the delivery speed and therefore signed additional agreements with South Korea. Hanwha Aerospace announced in April 2024 that it had signed a $1.64 billion deal to supply 72 HIMARS units to Poland. This agreement was part of a broader $22 billion arms procurement package. As of 2023, the first batch of these systems has been delivered to Poland. Therefore, it seems unlikely that Poland will become a GMARS customer in the near future. Similarly, France has launched the FLPT program to develop its own HIMARS alternative by 2025. This program, involving companies such as Thales, Safran, MBDA, and Ariane Group, aims to develop systems with a range of 93 miles and to equip a full battalion by 2030 and a full regiment by 2035. However, France's current artillery system, the Lance Roquette Unitaire, a modified version of the M270, will reach the end of its service life in 2027. GMARS, on the other hand, is already developed and offers an integrated and ready-to-use solution in terms of ammunition. If France cannot develop its own alternative in time, it is likely to become one of GMARS's early customers. The Baltic countries stand out among GMARS's other potential early customers in Europe. These countries, located on the borders of Russia and Belarus, already possess the HIMARS system as NATO allies. GMARS's compatibility with M270 and HIMARS ammunition, thanks to its HX platform, will facilitate the system's integration for these countries. Perhaps the most interesting paradox for GMARS is the fact that its first customer will not be the US. The US Army is already undergoing an extensive modernization process for systems such as HIMARS and M270. Therefore, the system's main target market is expected to be European allies. European countries have committed to significantly increasing their defense spending over the next decade. The fact that GMARS is manufactured in Europe, developed in partnership with European companies, and offers the opportunity to bypass HIMARS waiting lists makes it an attractive option. Beyond all this, GMARS coincides with a period in which artillery is being redefined in modern warfare. Unmanned aerial vehicles, UAV, are not eliminating the role of artillery. Rather, they are making it even more important. Thanks to FPV drones and surveillance systems that detect targets behind enemy lines, systems like GMARS can strike coordinates over 300 kilometers away in just a few minutes. After target detection, the cycle of firing and immediate redeployment is central to modern artillery. Therefore, GMARS is not just a powerful rocket system, it is a long-range, mobile, precise, and integrated firepower solution for the modern battlefield. With these capabilities, it can threaten the enemy's strategic depth, including Moscow. Systems like the S-300 and S-400 are already insufficiently effective against HIMARS, and GMARS's ability to attack from longer ranges with twice the ammunition will render these defenses even more helpless. What are your thoughts on this? Don't forget to share your thoughts with us in the comments. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to avoid missing new videos. See you in our next video.